All right, guys, good morning. Friday, November 14, 8:15 a.m. Eastern. I'm not like jazzed up and excited that price action is going down. Like, I'm feeling it too. I wish we were going up, honestly. But I think it's nice to at least have some sort of a roadmap in front of us that at least can help us, I guess, justify the price action in terms of the rhythm of the market, right? I'm really trying to block out the noise, block out the news, block out the narratives, and just focus on the chart and trust my chart and trust the cycles, right? You know, I don't think these 80-day cycles, these rhythms will always exist. I think Bitcoin will always have some sort of rhythm, but I think while we have them and while they are consistent right now, I don't know, it just makes me feel a little bit better, right? But yeah, I mean, it's ugly. People are probably getting hurt by this, and whether you're a buy and hold type person and just kind of are just following me to potentially see where we're going. I was wrong in the past. I was kind of a perma bull, and I always thought we'd be going higher. But once these cycles kind of came into play, what I'm going to try to do is buy the lows and maybe take a little bit off on the tops and then get back in on the lows as we mature and as we continue our march up in this bull market, because I do think we're still in a bull market despite what a lot of people are saying, right? And if we are in a bear market, I still think there will be a cycle here, that there will be an upside swing. So whether we break into another all-time high or maybe we make a lower high, I still think price action is going to come up into the at least 110 area-ish, right? But my base case is that, and I'll show you in a couple charts, I'm kind of going on a rant right now, but I think we go much higher. So again, this is kind of like a daily journal for me, and I hope you guys find it valuable. But yeah, so I'm still targeting, 87-ish. The 30-day moving average is right above us. Again, following this arc. DMARC indicators are still not giving us anything. And so I have this box here, whether it's 87K on the dot or whether we wick down. I think we could potentially wick down to like 75K to really scare people. Or even lower. Like, there could be some funny business here. There could be an event, in air quotes, that again justifies this price action. Or there could be a narrative that is assigned to this price action. But ultimately, I think this box, I'm going to start, whether I'm just going to start DCAing in here, I don't know how long we're going to stay in here. It could be a very quick wick and we come out. So I'm going to play it by ear. This is kind of right around Thanksgiving-ish, which, for us in America can be difficult to be on the charts and be at the computer or whatnot. But so I'm either going to do a big buy down here or start sprinkling in as we kind of enter this box. And it's really up to you guys too, if you even want to go that route. But here we look on the daily here with the energy indicator. I mean, we are right there, guys. We're right at kind of capitulation, I think, where once this resistance line breaks to the upside, I think that's going to signal to me, okay, it's time, right? And then there's another little one right here. It might give us a chance to continue loading up the boat, similar as it did back here, right? We may not get the exact low, but what I'm looking for is like these ABC to take out the lows here, and then we spring right back up. So I'm going to be looking for a low to be made, and then we take out that low, and once we resume right above that low, that's when I'm going to be like, and this resistance line breaks to the upside, okay, that's the signal. And so here's just why I'm thinking like 87 is this pitchfork. It's also the midpoint of this second range, which we are now entering. And then 76.8 is kind of the lower end of this range. See how we kind of duplicated this range. We tapped it at the bottom here. So that's why I'm like, there could be a wick. There could be something that happens. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking. And then if we look at the weekly, I mean, if we keep it super simple, guys, again, like if we think about this as the ISM business cycle, I think should turn up from here, right? So I think we're going to maybe tap, there's confluence here, right? There's a lower big trend line, and then there's another, this trend line's pretty good. It has a lot of touch points up top. You drag it to the bottom, a lot of confluence right around 87K. So that's why I'm thinking could potentially be a sniper right here and snipe 87K. If we look at tether dominance, so tether dominance is breaking out of what I originally had as this resistance line. It's broken out. There's another couple touch points up here, which that could be the actual bottom, right? Ultimately, there's going to be a line here, support line, that we're going to want to break down. That's going to coincide with that energy indicator on the daily, I think. Now I want to also bring, so this is the pitchfork from like 2018 into 2019 into 2020, right? So from the high to the low to the high, you know, there was a wick well below the pitchfork, but we closed above it, right? We closed right on it. And this is that sniping opportunity, right? You know, so I'll tell you a little story. I actually got into Bitcoin right in here. You know, I had like, I had a good amount of Bitcoin, and I rode through it rode up here. I had no idea about the power line. I had no idea what this thing was. I was just like, this thing's very interesting, right? And then like, this chop was insane. It was so short-lived, but when I was living through it, it was like, this was crazy. And then ultimately I got shaken out by COVID, and I missed this entire run, and I've kicked myself ever since. And I'm like, I'm never gonna let that happen again. I'm never gonna let either the Bitcoin, the market, or the market makers like shake me out of something that I should have conviction in, right? But I just want you to see like these pitchforks, there's something to these pitchforks. It's where these algorithms, I think, are buying, or where Bitcoin likes to find support or find resistance, right? If we look at Bitcoin gold, I mean, we still have a little bit of downside here into this pitchfork, right? Into a support area, big support area. If we look at Bitcoin gold from the same fractal from before, you know, we kind of overshot this pitchfork. This is where we made this bottom support line. But again, we kind of closed generally on or near it, right? If we look at Bitcoin silver, again, we're so close to this pitchfork and the bottom of this channel, right? This is confluence. If we look at the previous pitchfork, again, this closed, wicked below it, touched the trend line, and closed right on it. Right, so that's why I'm like, man, we are so close, guys. And I posted this on X yesterday. I don't know, I always kind of just try to look at the charts differently. I create a blank chart and just kind of go to town drawings-wise, but this is how Bitcoin likes to consolidate. It likes to fool people, and you know, there's not a ton of touch points here, but there's a dome shape to this. Dome shape here, dome shape here. Whoops. If we zoom in on these, like, see how the beginning of this bull run, you got a nice move, and then you consolidated down, got another pop, and then you came down and touched like pretty much where this had bottomed before, right in here, right? So I'm thinking, like, what if we can still kind of come down to test? This would be like 75K-ish, and it would really resemble this fractal, you know, just on a bigger time scale. I thought that was interesting as well. And okay, so here's volatility. Again, volatility's breaking out. This is what I'm talking about. Like, this is a VIX for Bitcoin, I think, right? So VIX is spiking, which means likely some downside price action, but I do think this can continue to spike, and we can actually move to the upside in a violent manner, right? So if we go back to this, like, I'm once this comes out of this consolidation, I think we're gonna get a very powerful move. You know, this didn't necessarily happen in 2017, like this rounded top, but it was more of a channel here, which you can't see on the chart, but then it just exploded. So I really think we're in a bull market and we're gonna explode. Oh yeah, so I meant to put this on the other side, but see how this, like, it comes down, it rounds, it flattens out here, and just goes sideways, like it rounds out here, it flattens out here, so that's why we could have a little bit more downside. Okay, so here's MSTR on the 3-day. Now I kind of took that similar dome that I'm seeing on Bitcoin, and I put that on MSTR kind of at this angle, right? So there's some support in here, there's confluence with this pitchfork, with this midpoint of this big channel, and then there's another like channel within here that doesn't have a ton of touch points, and it's really speculative, but again, there's a lot of confluence in this area, right? And so what I'm thinking, like, if this is to break to the upside, then I do think MSTR is going to also break to the upside. I don't think anyone really knew about this kind of volatility, and we've never seen an asset like Bitcoin before, and then we've never seen amplified Bitcoin before, right? That's exactly what MSTR is. It's just like, man, I didn't really sign up for this type of volatility, but I still think we can go higher, and you know, everyone's shouting bear market on MSTR, and I can see the charts how it looks like the previous fractal from last cycle, but I'm hanging in there, guys. I'm gonna see this through. Whether we ride through a bear market together, I'll be charting it. Here's MSTR Bitcoin again, kind of hopefully finding some support here, some confluence here. It's messy. It's definitely messy, but let's just give it some time. Let the market continue doing what it's gonna do. Okay, here's MSTR Gold. And again, some confluence here. So I want this to be a wick on this pitchfork. Okay, so here's Metaplanet. Now I've applied this pitchfork to Metaplanet. It's tough because this is the only pivot we really have in Metaplanet up top, and it's just been a consistent downtrend. But you can see it tags this red line all the way down, just tags it, tags it, tags it. And now we're not really tagging it, right? This hopefully is the beginning of a base, right? Where maybe this is a shoulder, a big head, and then we'd have another shoulder here through the end of the year. And then hopefully, you know, these Bitcoin treasury companies will have another go at it. But I think it's interesting, you know, we've tagged this pitchfork line all the way down, and now we're kind of flattening out, right? So I think this is a positive for Metaplanet, but we just need a little bit more patience. Now Mara on the daily, I mean, this is just insane, straight down. But if you look at the WGMI chart, it also had a very similar straight down movement before it literally went straight vertical, right? So if we pull a pitchfork here from the top to the bottom to this pivot, you know, I think generally this is where it's going to be bottoming. We're right on the pitchfork, we're below it right now, but we're on support of a bigger pitchfork. I don't know, you know, these pitchforks are relatively new for me, but I'm finding a lot of good stuff, good support, good resistances when I look at them, right? Okay, so here's Tesla. Tesla has kind of become my crown jewel, and I don't mean to I'm not trying to brag here whatsoever. I just want you guys to know, I think we can play these cycles to the upside and to the downside. My put is up about 37%, and we're even down more pre-market, right? So I have some targets here around 315, and then this is the aggressive pitchfork target, which is way down here. So I'm going to be debating, do I take profit once we hit this, if we hit it, or do I get a little bit more aggressive and try to wait it out to see if we get all the way down here? I'm inclined to just take my profit if this comes and then wait for the next setup. But that's just kind of how I'm thinking through this as I dive into these cycles and dive into this new way of thinking about the markets. So that's it, guys. All in all, I mean, we're close, and I think that's, you know, come end of November, early December, we start sprinkling in, or we put a buy in here. This is what I'm going to do. And then when this turns bullish again and we start going higher, if that happens, like, we're gonna be on this channel, and we're gonna be celebrating, and we're gonna be in good spirits, right? I think we have a great 2026 ahead of us. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Enjoy it. Don't look at Twitter, and I'll see you guys on Monday.